I think without further ado, I will now hand over to him to explain for himself why he sees Turkey as authoritarian. Ali Kareli.
Thank you very much. By the way, do I need this or cast?
I think I've got to push.
Yes.
The mic is better.
Yeah.
Microphone, you prefer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, it's great to be here and great to see so many of you have showed up. And let me first start by, thank you for the introduction, by saying a few words about the origins of this book and also its connection, it's kind of a family connection that I have to the Left Book Club. One of the co-founders of Left Book Club in the 1930s and 40s was a British Labour politician and a writer, John Strachey. And he was, I believe, one of the three original co-founders of the initial Left Book Club, which was an influential book club in the 1930s and 40s here in the UK, influencing opinion, fighting against fascism, and contributing to the growth, to Labour's ascent to power after the war. Now, John Strachey, in the 1950s, he wrote a couple of influential essays, articles that were published into Turkish by my father, who was a journalist. This was in the late 1950s, early 1960s, and John Strachey's essays about social democracy had an impact in the early 1960s in Turkey as a social democracy gradually was was being born in Turkey. And now it's kind of funny that I myself, 50, 60 years later, have written a book about Turkey, which is published by the newborn Left Book Club, this connection to John Strachey. And now, of course, however moderately, my book is also intends to be to contribute to leftist policies. Although when you compare these times to the 1960s, when John Strachey's books were published, translated into Turkish, these are much more difficult times for the left. The 1960s was kind of become the golden era, together with the 1970s, of social democracy in the West. Today, on the other hand, on the contrary, left is weak all across Europe and the Western world, and instead we are facing the rise of an authoritarian populist right. So the question that I ask, why Turkey is authoritarian, we could legitimately ask ourselves, why do we need to care? Why does anyone outside Turkey need to care about this? And I argue, of course, that we do need to care about it. And I argue this because I believe that this question has a broader relevance. Turkey is an example, and is an interesting and a warning example, and as such offers valuable insights for progressives across the world.